President Obama is rejecting any suggestion that his administration deserves blame for the Boston Marathon bombings. But he also acknowledged today that a review is underway of intelligence leading up to the attack to make sure nothing was missed. The president talked at length about the Boston bombings during a morning news conference over at the White House, along with other grave challenges weighing in on his second term. Our chief White House correspondent, Jessica Yellen, was in the front row asking questions. Jessica is joining us now with more. Jessica?
Well, President Obama came to the briefing room without an obvious agenda or an announcement. And on a range of topics, he asked for patience. From the Boston bombing to Syria, he made clear he's moving at his timetable. At his first press conference since the Boston Marathon bombing, President Obama told the nation,
"We're not going to stop living our lives because warped, twisted individuals try to intimidate us."
When pressed to answer critics who allege intelligence was missed in the lead up to the attack, President Obama defended law enforcement.
Your n.d.a.a. has ordered a broad review of all the intelligence gathering prior to the attack. And now Lindsey Graham, who is a senior member of the Armed Services Committee, has said that Benghazi and Boston are both examples of the U.S. going backwards on national security. Is he right, and did our intelligence miss something?
No, Mr. Graham is not right on this issue, although I'm sure it generated some headlines. Based on what I've seen so far, the FBI performed its duties. Department of Homeland Security did what it was supposed to be doing.
Though Russians wouldn't help the FBI with much information before the attack, the president says they're helping now.
The Russians have been very cooperative with us since the Boston bombing. Obviously, old habits die hard.
On the thorny question of Syria, chemical weapons, and the red line, the president repeated,
the use of chemical weapons would be a game changer.
But he insisted,
what we now have is evidence that chemical weapons have been used inside of Syria, but we don't know how they were used, when they were used, who used them.
Adding, even if he gets proof the red line has been crossed, he has yet to decide how the U.S. will respond.
By game changer, I mean that we would have to rethink the range of options that are available to us. Obviously, there are options that are available to me that are on the shelf right now that we have not deployed.
This press conference fell on the 100th day of President Obama's second term. Though his agenda is moving through Congress very slowly at best, the president added yet another item to the list.
I continue to believe that we've got to close Guantanamo, and it's easy to demagogue the issue. That's what happened the first time this came up. I'm going to go back at it because I think it's important.
Now, Wolf, you'll recall President Obama signed an executive order to close Guantanamo Bay 2 days after he came into office in his first term. Of course, Guantanamo Bay is still open, and so he is recommitting to his campaign promise in 2008 and to reverse that failure of his first term on closing Guantanamo Bay. On the larger question about the Boston Marathon attack and whether there were intelligence failures, I called some administration sources to see why the president wouldn't get more specific about whether he thinks intelligence was missed. And I'm told, basically, big picture, nobody here wants to make any judgments until the d.a.a., the Director of National Intelligence, full report is in, Wolf.
Jessica Yellen at the White House, thanks very much.
Stupid monkey.